Welcome to the Eight in the Box podcast, where we talk football. It is November 10th, Wednesday, November 10th. We actually have football tonight, so we're going to get to that in a second. Of course, we might mention something about Maction. But then we got Thursday football. There's Friday football. There's Saturday football. It's all college football. And that's what we discuss again right here on Eight in the Box, a Cash Considerations production. My name is Dave Sharapan. I am the Sportsbook Consigliere, and you can find me on Twitter at SportsBKConsig. With me, as always, my partner in crime, my quarterback, Brad Howe, out in West Virginia. He's at Brad Howe 07. B Howe, what is going on today on a Wednesday early?
Hello, Dave. Let's go. We've got a lot of football. You're wearing a Seattle Kraken hat, which, by the way, if you like hockey plays, goals in the first 10. Kraken are very good. Vegas Golden Knights last night got you a little goal in the first 10. And how about college basketball underway?
Oh, boy.
College basketball is underway. So I know we're not doing basketball here.
We're not.
We had a lot of games last night.
I'm still recovering. And we're not talking about basketball. We talked enough about basketball yesterday on all the other shows that I did on Sports Grid and Sirius XM and all the other stuff, Wager Talk. Speaking of Wager Talk, our producer, Dan Alexander at Newbie Talks on Twitter, producing the show. That's what he does. He's producing stuff for Wager Talk. So he listened to it all yesterday between the Puck Time and the Soccer Show and the Wager Talk today with me, Teddy Covers, and Lawrence Presman. We did that. But enough of all that. We got to get to some football. This is that time of year. Are we going to talk about the rankings today? We're not really. Are we going to drop? Good. Thank you.
Not yet. Nope, not yet.
We're not talking about it. They keep doing it every Tuesday. We do this show, drops every Wednesday. We're doing it very early in the morning, gentlemen, on a Wednesday. But gentlemen, we had to get together and get this done so other gentlemen and women can listen to the show. B Howe, take us away. We're going to get to 8 games total and a little bonus maybe.
Bonus.
Where are we going first?
All right, let's go to the Big 12. Oklahoma and Baylor.
Of course,
Oklahoma.
Let's go to the Big 12 first.
Well, this is a good one, but unfortunately, Baylor yacked it up to a TCU program that looked dead last week. Baylor was rolling. This looked like a de facto Big 12 championship game. Now Baylor's got to do some work. In comes Oklahoma, and I feel like I'm a broken record with the Sooners. Are they wobbling, ready to get beat? Are they really good? What are we doing with Oklahoma? I will give you this. Since freshman quarterback Caleb Williams entered the lineup as the starter for Spencer Rattler, they've been lights out offensively. A little more of the old Oklahoma. They lead the nation in offensive efficiency since he's taken over. They're getting a Baylor group that's really good. Dave Aranda, one of the leaders for Big 12 Coach of the Year, he's done a great job at home. I know you like these home dogs, 5.5 points, but you got an Oklahoma offense here. Gary Bohannon, the quarterback for the Bears, has been very good, very efficient. Started to show a little bit of cracks the last couple of weeks. Sooners, Bears, Sooners by 5.5. You taking the road favorite or your favorite home dog?
You know what I'm doing. I can't. I mean, there is no
Baylor
off a loss. I think I like better than Baylor off a win. Just when you think you got it figured out, Baylor goes and loses a game, TCU, when they got the whole season basically in front of them. And that's what happens, right? See these look-ahead spots, and teams just forget about where they're looking right now. I don't know what to make of Oklahoma. I still don't know what to make of Oklahoma. They're 9-0, and they're 4-5 against the spread. 7-2 for Baylor, but 6-3 against the number. So I got the better team against the spread at home, getting points, early start off a loss. What did you think I was going to say? Did you think I was going to say I'm laying it?
No,
I'm taking it.
I know. You know what I want to do. You know what I want to do here.
You want to lay it. You have
to.
But
here's the thing. I think you're right. I want to disagree with you right out of the gate. I want to trust Caleb Williams as a freshman. I want to trust Oklahoma. I haven't been as big a believer in Baylor, although they keep proving me wrong. But I think you're right. Here's the thing with Oklahoma that's surprising. Their opponent's record, just 31-51. If you start to go down their list and look at that, they really haven't played anybody, Dave. It's Tulane, Western Carolina, Nebraska, West Virginia, Kansas State, Texas, TCU, Kansas, Texas Tech. I mean, who's Oklahoma played to this point? I
that?
don't know how good Baylor is, but I think you're right. If you're giving me the points at home, I think Baylor's the right side, even though Caleb Williams would scare me a little bit. But I think I'm with you on this one.
Yeah, it feels it feels right. And if this is the week that Oklahoma loses, which I think there's a lot of people in the whole playoff thing and a lot of people over the country just want them to lose already so they can get out of there. They got to keep putting them up in the rankings and they keep winning the games. But maybe it's a different thing. I think part of the issue is they're not an Oklahoma team that we're accustomed to. They're not explosive offensively other than the game against Texas. Kind of boring. Kind of like winning with defense, maybe not Big 12 style, but you've turned me on to this Big 12. They play defense in the Big 12.
Defensive league.
It really has become a defensive league just like that. The total in this game feels like a little bit high. I mean, it opened 64 in places. It's down to 62.5 in a lot of places. Still find a 63. I think this game goes under. Obviously, if I'm like Baylor, I like the under.
Yes.
That's where I'm leaning both ways, side and total here.
Yeah, I think you're right. And that's exactly right. If you're going to go Baylor and you think they're going to be able to control the game, it more likely goes under than not. And listen, Oklahoma's going to bring a pass rush there. They've been up and down defensively. They have improved, maybe not as much as people said they were going to improve back in the summer, but that pass rush can be difficult. Keep that Big 12 defense theme in mind. We're going to come back to it here in a later game. But first, let's head over to the Big Ten. I've got them in here just for you. I've got them in. This is kind of a fun one, though. This is fun. Michigan, Penn State, Pick'em, Michigan -1, total on the move down from 52.5 to 48.5. I would have liked the under a lot at 52.5. You're going to have to guide me now that we've lost a few of those points. Michigan, Penn State. Where do we go here with Michigan? They want to run it, but they've been banged up. They're going to have to play both quarterbacks. Cade McNamara has been banged. We're going to see a lot of running of the football. Clifford is he still banged for Penn State, but the defense has been pretty good. This screams under, but can we do it at 48.5?
I saw this on the rundown. I thought you were going to come on in Michigan stuff, singing the Michigan song because, you sang it before, but I sang it with you. We thought that they were going to maybe continue their little run at Michigan State. And now, how does this work? Maybe you could tell me. When they apologize afterward for we screwed up, we got the call wrong. I mean, it's sorry, like it cost you the game, cost you like an undefeated season, it cost you all of it, but we're really, really sorry. Like, how does that work? When you're in the athletic office or you're like on the team, like what do you do at that point?
Well, you can't do anything, but you're dropping some F-bombs. I'll tell you that. I'll tell you that. Thanks a lot for the memo. Memo doesn't do us any good. Like, take your memo. You know what you can do with your memo? Here's what you can do with your memo.
Win every game, right? And that's what Michigan's doing. Like they're punishing teams and playing Michigan football, apparently, which is run the ball and play defense. But they're going to Penn State. Penn State's doing something called a stripe out. Forget about a white out. They're doing a stripe out, which
helmet stripe stripe game. Yeah. I like it.
Yeah, they got one stripe. Like, I mean, I don't know. So it looks like a whiteout with one row, maybe people wearing a blue.
With one blue right down the middle of the stadium and across the other side. I'll say this, as an old marketing guy in athletic departments, kudos for the creativity. I like it. I don't know what the look will look like. It won't be as dramatic as the whiteout, but I like the creativity. You got to come up with something different. Everybody's doing a blank at the stadium in one color. I like it. It's good creative stuff.
It would probably be more exciting if it was an Oregon game, and it would probably be multiple stripes and different colors and things. Like it's a state school. Penn State's a good institution, everything. Don't get me wrong, but it's a state school. You came up with the stripe out. It's a problem because the uniforms haven't changed in 100 years. So you only got one stripe and they're keeping it that way. That's fine. Listen, the line's won. It's already moved. It opened up Michigan favored. It's gone to Penn State favored. I think the play is Penn State, but again, people listening to the show, we thank you for listening to the show and for watching the show. We're getting a lot of run on the YouTube. Follow along and listen there, watch there. You get to see the hats. You get to see B Howe's beard and everything. We thank you for that. I'm a little biased, B Howe. I think Penn State wins this game. Now, I know you're not a Penn State guy and all these people that listen to West Virginia. I mean, they're already looking for you. They already want to know why you keep picking against West Virginia, and that's okay.
Well, I was right last week. I finally got one right on West Virginia, by the way.
You did. You did. By the way, those unis and stuff they were wearing with those, they were nice.
West Virginia?
Yeah.
Yeah. You like the little American flag mixed in for a Veterans Day, Military Appreciation Day.
Fantastic. Fantastic.
Let me give you this. I know you're not going to come off your Penn State boys, but let me throw a couple things at you.
Please
Go
do.
back to the total with me for a second.
Yep.
These teams are 9th and 13th nationally in yards per play defense. So you're getting 2 defense.
Okay.
Penn State, if I want to bolster your case, Penn State is 18th nationally in stuff rate. We talked about this last week.
Stuff rate is back.
Again, it's back.
Let's go.
And here's why. Because we talked about it last week with Oklahoma State, and man, did it work. West Virginia looked like it was a youth team offense going against that Oklahoma State defense. Stuff rate mattered. Penn State 18th nationally in stuff rate. And for those of you that didn't listen last week, stuff rate's the percentage of carries that are stopped at or behind the line of scrimmage. Well, Penn State's been good with the run. What's Michigan want to do? They only want to run. So Penn State, you might have a little case here. Can I get under 48.5, or did we miss that?
No.
That's down 4 points. Can we still go under, you think, on this?
Yeah, because I mean, in the room, from the move from that high of a number to that number is 1 or 2 bets. So if it's 52 and somebody bets it early for the limit, it goes to 50, and then somebody bets it again, it goes to 48. You move it early by 2s. I mean, that's what I used to do anyway. So I don't think you missed it because I think it's settled in at 48. Yes, it would have been nice. But I'll be the first one to tell you, we've done the show, The Game Within the Game now we're on our year number 2, almost 100 episodes with me, you, and Julian does it on Thursdays. Go listen to that as well. I'll tell you when you're too late to the party. I don't think you're too late to the party at 48. Now, don't go below 47. 47 is the number. You keep finding ways to get to 47, 27, 20. Add up the most combinations of football scores that aren't scoregamis. And if you don't know what that is, you go look at that expression up. 47 is a very key number, one of the only key numbers as far as totals. I like under. I like Penn State, stripe out, wipe out. What's the next game?
Stay in the Big Ten. Purdue and Ohio State.
Oh, I can't figure this Purdue team out. Here we go.
Well, here's what you can figure out. We talked last week. We were on Purdue on this program.
Yes.
We said this is the best spot of the week because Michigan State was in its worst spot of the week. And sometimes that works, right? You got it, especially in college football, you got to worry about spot. Okay, now let's flip it around. Purdue off another massive top 5 win. They now have to go on the road, and not just on the road, but they're going to the Horseshoe. They're going to Ohio State, who has struggled the last couple of weeks when it comes to covering, at least.
Yes.
CJ Stroud better than he was early, but this is another one of those. Is this strictly a spot play here? Letdown spot for Purdue. Really tough to go back-to-back weeks with that big win against Michigan State, then Ohio State. But this is a big number. Are we up to 20? We're right around 19, total 63.5. I don't like laying 19 points, but man, this is a bad spot for Purdue.
We're already at 20.5 in places.
Yeah, it's moving.
Yeah. I mean, there's no thought here. It's Ohio State or nothing. And if you're going to play Ohio State and you want to do it before it gets to 21, you better do it today. Because if anyone's randomly listening to the show or coming up to the sportsbook and trying to pick a 12:30 start with Purdue and Ohio State, they're only betting Ohio State. Bad guys are on it. Very impressive what Purdue did. Again, they stop another season of Michigan State. You got so close, and now how do you bounce back? Can't wait to see how that happens. But what is Purdue going to do? What did they do the last time they beat somebody at home like this? When you go back,
they beat Iowa at home. Listen, this is not a good matchup here. This is not. I mean, they can throw it, but Ohio State's pass rush is really good.
Mm-hmm.
I'm with you. This is either if you want to get some action on it for some reason, you ride Ohio State. If not, just stay away, and we've got some other ones for you.
I would say Purdue team total under would be a individual bet to look at. The total 62.5. The spread is 20. I hate those. As far as playing, you can't, that's the correlated parlay. I talked about that on Wager Talk and all this stuff. It's very hard when the spread's that high with the total that high. So maybe look at individual team total, Ohio State over or Purdue under.
Okay, let's jump over to the SEC.
Let's do it.
This is a fun. You talk about a contrast in styles here. Let's go Georgia, Tennessee. Georgia,
Right.
I mean, what can you say about Georgia? I think they're the only quality team in college football this year. Everybody else is racing for second. They've been really dominant.
They're the best team. Like, I mean,
right
and
now,
they've been the best team, but like when you watch them, everybody knows they're the best team, right?
Oh yeah, and I mean, and they're bringing it defensively, and that's the story with them defensively. So let's get into that part of it here. And listen, I'll admit I was wrong about Tennessee. I'm holding an under 6.5 win ticket on Tennessee. I thought Josh Heupel in his first year trying to run that style with a depleted roster, everybody that entered the transfer portal. I thought Tennessee, you got no shot this year. I loved that under 6.5 win total, but I'm not going to win that.
No.
What do we do here with style? Because here's where it gets dangerous. If you want to go super fast, which Tennessee's going to do, by God, you better have success. Because if you don't, you're in some deep trouble. And you're getting the best defense, by far the best defense in the country right here. So Tennessee's going to do what it does. It's not going to back off and try and be somebody different here. The total is on the move up. I mean, to me, Georgia's an automatic under. I don't care what you put the number at. Go under until differently. This to me, this is my, I wish Newbie had music for this. I should have told him. This is my show me game of the week. This total's moved up to 56.5. You load me on the unders until Tennessee. You can show me that you can put up 17 or 20 on this Georgia team, because otherwise, no, I need to see it. Nobody's done it.
I will
need to see
show
it.
me music for next week. I got you on that.
Very good. Thank you. Thank you. I mean, here's the thing, Dave. Georgia's held 6 of 9 opponents to single digits. They have 2 shutouts.
Wow.
South Carolina and Kentucky had 13 points apiece. That's the high. And Kentucky, remember, needed that long drive at the end of the game.
Late.
Said Mark Stoops is trying to cover it. He knows the spread, right? That was the talk for a week to punch it in. People aren't scoring. Hendon Hooker's given a little life to this Tennessee offense. That style's a little quirky. Can it catch Georgia a little bit? If you're going to keep giving me points, I'm going to keep betting the under until Tennessee shows me it can put up 17 here. Thoughts?
I hate the game. I hate this game because I want to take the home dog. I want to take the points with Tennessee.
Well, 21 points. That's probably the play right there, because that's a lot of points.
Yeah,
Georgia may let off the gas. They're going to run it. I mean, all right, I won't argue with you on that.
They may not score 21 points.
They might not. I know.
So I hate taking a team with that number of points when they ain't going to score that number of points. It's really, and again, it's the math problem with the total 56. I like the dog. I like the under. I'm with you 100% on the under. I don't think the issue may be is if Tennessee tries to play this speed and like hurry up, they're going to give Georgia more opportunities to pound them or run the football and score. And then that defense is out there too many times and is tired. The final score may be 41-10. 41-10.
Did you just say 41-10?
41-10.
Literally in my notes, as I'm glancing at my notes, the number that I have down is, doesn't 41-10 feel like this could be?
Stop it. Do you really?
That's the exact. I wish I could hold it up and show you. 41-10. That's what I said. 41-10 feels right. There you go. Very good. Very good, Newbie. Thank you for the sound effect. 41-10. That's what I'm saying.
We talk via text. We talk one time before we record the show, and then we talk via text. And we're both been very busy and doing all kinds of things. And we got, family issues, both girl dads, all kinds of things. All full disclosure. Did not set this up.
Did not.
Literally just looked at the number and I thought, oh, it's got to be 41-10. If you don't bet under now, that's on you. I'm going to go bet under as soon as the show's over. I'm betting under 100% now. That's it. It's done.
Yeah. Okay. Move on. I've got more numbers for you. We don't need more numbers. Show me, Tennessee. Show me that your style works. Now listen, if we're going under, don't be running anything late. Don't be going hyper speed late and punching one in to screw us and get to 20 somehow. Get out of here with that. Get out of here. We're going under. All right, stay in the SEC. Stay in the SEC here. A&M Ole Miss. This is a fun one too. Talk about some different styles, or at least perceptions of styles.
Yeah.
A&M minus 2.5, total sitting about 55.5. You can update me on the numbers.
Yep.
Both teams 6-3 to the under.
Yep.
A&M's defense here. So here's the question. A&M's defense, 7th nationally in defensive yards per play, going against this Ole Miss offense. We know about them because on this show, they've been the highest total of the week like half the time.
Like every
so
time.
we always talk about them. Okay, but here's what we got. They're banged up. I mean, Matt Corral's banged playing. Receivers banged. Offensive line for Ole Miss banged. I mean, we're at the time of year where injuries start to matter, and you have to start to take that into your game analysis. Ole Miss is really banged up. The Texas A&M offensive line is really starting to play. Isaiah Spiller is starting to go. Jimbo's going to want to just run it and then run it and then run it a little more. And he's going to want to keep the ball the entire game. If he can have 58 minutes of time of possession, he's going to do that. He wants to keep it. Ole Miss, believe it or not, runs it 60% of the time. So do you trust an Ole Miss? Both teams are under teams. Part of that's because the Ole Miss number is always so high.
Is this the lowest Ole Miss number though?
It's close.
The
it's in the it's in the ballpark. Normally they're higher than this, which is why they're going under. But you're going to get two teams that run it. So what you answer me on in terms of spread will dictate over under. If you think A&M can control this and run it on them and control clock, then under is probably in play. Thoughts?
I like that. I'm looking at this going. Texas A&M is playing their best football of the season now. They started off a little disjointed, a little slow, but the defense has been there the whole season. Ole Miss, you just said all those guys are injured. Is Corral still going to win the Heisman? I haven't been paying attention. He ain't going to win that thing now, right?
We'll see. But somebody's got to win. You got to give it to somebody. But no, I don't know if Corral's the guy right now. No.
Yeah.
I would say no if I'm betting it right now.
This is both teams 7-2, 6-3 against the spread for A&M, 5-3-1 on my count here for Ole Miss. Very hard game to pick against the spread. So and that's obviously what this line tells you. When a road team's favored 2.5, it's the odds makers and the bookmakers saying, good luck. Either way. I mean, we don't know. So, not a field goal either way. A lot of people are guessing on this. I feel like I'm guessing more than I'm telling, but sidewise it would be an A&M. Total, listen, when the number finally gets low is the time they go over sometimes when it's been adjusted. We've been talking about the highest total of the week, and it has been Ole Miss multiple times, and it's gone under every time except, now 2. So we got 2 overs and 7 unders. But I'm going under. I think Jimbo's main key to success is we got to keep the ball. By keeping the ball and running the ball, that's how we're going to prevent their quick scoring offense from scoring. Texas A&M and under. Are you with me on both?
I am with you on both. If I had to pick, I think both numbers are right. I think if we're going under on this, we're going to be sweating it a little bit because remember this: Arkansas ran for 350 on Ole Miss. So what screws us on the under is if they're having success running it and then Spiller breaks through and goes for a couple big plays on the ground. If we're going under, we need A&M to chew clock and yards. Don't be busting off big plays on us here. I think we're sweating it at the under, but that's the side I would take.
Arkansas beat A&M. That's one of the losses they have, right? Arkansas was at home and beat A&M, I believe. No, or they beat Texas. I can't remember. It all jumbles up. When you start to get into the SEC games now like this, it all jumbles together because the SEC is about 2 teams. It's about Georgia and it's about Bama. That's it. And by the way, I got my question at the end of the show about Bama. Go ahead. Next game. Sorry.
Okay. All right. Well, for those watching the show screaming, stop talking about unders. Fine. We'll give you one. We'll give you one here. Wake and NC State. We're going ACC. Wake and North Carolina are still scoring. They just scored a few minutes ago. Sam Hartman just ran for another touchdown and threw one in the next play. He's got 2 touchdowns in 2 plays. That's all they do is score.
You know what I just found out this yesterday, actually, doing the show on Sports Grid. They played North Carolina, Wake Forest did, and it wasn't a conference game, despite the fact that they're in the same conference. Can you explain that to me, athletic director guy?
Yeah, well, college football's a mess. I mean, it's just a mess. It's just a mess how they do things. It's a mess with the playoff system. It's a mess with conference realignment. Notre Dame, are they in the ACC? Are they not in the ACC? North Carolina and Wake play, but it's not an ACC. I mean, just the college football. Play the circuit. Newbie, you got any circus music? That's your answer. There's your explanation.
I was like, wait, they're in the same conference. He's like, yeah, but it was like a makeup game. They had an open date. They moved the games. I'm like, so you played a conference game that don't count in a conference. That's pretty good. Okay. So Wake can still win the ACC despite losing an ACC game that didn't count. So they're undefeated in conference play despite losing to a conference team. Go ahead. Sorry.
Yes. All right. So there we are. All right. Bunch of things to talk about in this game. The 115th meeting between these two.
What?
115th meeting. Only the second time both of them have been ranked.
Wow. This is a big game.
Out of 115. And by the way, thank you to the Raleigh News Observer for that nugget. I didn't come up with that on my own. That was Raleigh News Observer. That's amazing.
Excellent.
115 meetings, 2 times they're ranked. Okay, we know about the Wake offense. I mean, Sam Hartman, who I just mentioned, man, he has been good. Threw for 5 touchdowns last week, ran for 2 more. You want to talk about a Heisman guy. I mean, I know he's Wake Forest and they don't get the normal national love. My man, Sam Hartman, has to be in the discussion. He's putting up silly numbers.
Yep.
27 touchdown passes on the season. All right, let's try and talk a little bit about NC State's defense. I tried this earlier this season. I was sure that my guy, Tony Gibson, the defensive coordinator at NC State, would go into Mississippi State and lock up the Bulldogs. And they let me down. They let me down. They let me down. But you know what?
And I told everybody out here in Vegas, I said, I got this guy. He knows the D coordinator. Like he says they're going to play. He's going to do. I told everybody, and they came at me on Saturday late afternoon. They're like, "What's your guy saying now?" I'm like, "He ain't answering the phone." That's the problem right now. My guy ain't answering the phone.
It was a wonderful, perfect handicap that didn't work. And it wasn't right.
That's sports. Listen, that's sports gambling. Sometimes that happens.
Now, if you do go back, his defense was pretty good that night. The offense let him down, but he gave up.
The offense was bad.
Since then, since I haven't talked about Gibby in the defense for a number of weeks, they've been lights out. Of course, they've been excellent. They're playing.
So maybe stop talking about it. Maybe
20th nationally in yards per play defense.
Yeah.
17th overall nationally.
Just keep going. Here he goes.
They can play. They're second here. You want to talk about stuff rate? Second nationally in stuff rate.
Mega stuff.
They stuff now. Ooh. Now that Wake's going to want to throw it on you, right? I mean, they can run it, but they're going to want to throw it on you. Is this a little bit of an inflated line here for Wake? I mean, and the totals is this one? Do you want to play an under in this one? Are you afraid of an under when it comes to Wake? Because I might be. But is that number up because you just saw them go 58-55 last week? Is that number up a little bit? Do we have some value if we go under and think NC State's defense might bring it a little bit at home?
66.5 is a high number, is it not? I mean, we've been talking about these totals like in the 70s. You got to get such a clean ride to get there over 66.5, what you've dubbed things now, the show me game or the show me total. And I love that because we want to see it before we believe it. So I think I need to see this Wake Forest team do it against a good defense before I can say, oh, they're just going to light it up. Cautiously, I want to see Wake Forest win because I didn't realize they're still alive to get in the playoff and all this other stuff. Hard game sidewise to handicap. I'm leaning Wake Forest. I think I'm leaning under, B. Howe. I'm leaning under because it is inflated. It needs to be. But you got Gibby in this thing you keep talking about in my head, and I keep thinking about it. Like, if this defense is that good, they're going to game plan. Wake doesn't really run the ball, right? I mean, they pass the ball.
They can run a little bit, and Hartman can take off and scramble, but they want to throw it. They want Hartman to throw it, yes. And so NC State's strength is against the run. So that you got to factor that in a little bit here. But big game, important game, big rivalry game. Where that was a non-conference game for Wake, but was also their first loss. So mentally, is there just a little bit of the undefeated? Do you get a little bit of that? At 66.5, as we've said, we only need a few stops in there for this thing to go under. This to me is one of those, I don't know about side. I mean, we could flip a coin on that. To me, this would be play the under and see if Wake can do it again against what has been a pretty good defense with Tony Gibson. And if it lets us down again, then Gibby, I'm not talking about you again on this show. You're out.
Gibby, you got another shot. You got another shot. But I'm sorry that he keeps talking. Last time he talked about so much, it didn't work out so well. So no more talking about this game. No more talking about Gibby and the NC State defense. But I'm leaning under with you as well. I want to see Wake win. I want to keep them alive in the discussion.
I get it. Yeah.
Not that I think they can win the national championship, but it's fun when this guy Hartman and he scores. It's different. Yeah. And it's a team that, like, everybody's like, Wake who? That's Wake Forest. Yeah. So what time is that game? That game is
the night game, I think, right?
It is. We'll be watching at 4:30 Pacific, 7:30 Eastern, under the lights. Is Wake Forest is that going to be that's going to be a jam-packed crowd for Wake Forest football.
Oh, yeah. I mean, right down the road from each other. I mean, that's why they played 115 times. And that's a fun game. And that's what I mean. Emotions high, NC State at home. Listen, NC State's 89th in pace on offense. We didn't even talk about NC State's offense, so they want to go a little bit slower. I think you play the under and hold on. Play the under and hold on if Sam Hartman starts going bananas.
Perfect.
All right. This is apparently an under show because I got another one here we got to look at. TCU at Oklahoma State. Cowboys favored by almost 2 touchdowns, 13.5. Totals 54.5. I mean, listen, I've got recency bias because I just watched every play of Oklahoma State, West Virginia. Yeah. That Oklahoma State defense is the real deal. They're the real deal here. But here's the question. Because this to me is an auto under. I don't even care what the number is. Auto under if Oklahoma State's playing. But TCU threw a little wrinkle at us here. They were dead. They were absolutely dead. I watched
Coach is fired.
Play them.
Coach is done.
They got Gary Patterson after 21 years. He's out. They're a mess. But they changed quarterbacks. Mac Duggan was out. Chandler Morris, the OU transfer, comes in. Suddenly they're throwing it all over the yard. 400-plus yards passing. They beat Baylor. TCU with a little bounce in the first game after Gary Patterson. That TCU defense, something was not right with them for most of the year, but they bounced back a little bit. Now, go to Oklahoma State. I gave stuff rate last week with them, third in the nation. They're even better now. They just absolutely big boy dominated West Virginia, and they were good. Here's what they do, Dave. Here's interesting for those people that want to get in the weeds on style. Yeah. They play an aggressive man-to-man defense, press coverage on their corners, and they're going to grab you, clutch you, hold you, bang you, 5 yards off the line of scrimmage, 10 yards. They're grabbing you. They don't care. Flag us. Show me you can throw a flag on every play. They are dudes. They're old, and they're very good up front. Offensively, they manage it really well. Mike Gundy's a heck of a coach, Dave.
He's a man.
He is one.
He's a man.
Now. He's not 40. He's 50, but he's still a man.
50. He's a man.
They have one scoring 60 a game through their time. They have one with Biletnikoff award-winning wide receivers. Now, I don't know that they care if they score more than 3 points a game. We'll beat you 3-0. They're going to get conservative on offense if they get a lead. They're going to squeeze you. They're going to manage Spencer Sanders. They're only going to throw when necessary. Again, this to me, this screams under because it's Oklahoma State. Show me they can go over.
How does TCU score points?
I don't know that.
So changing the quarterback, TCU, changing the coach. I mean, it worked in that movie where Mox came in for newbie. What movie was that? Where Billy Bob was the lineman and Scooter was the wide receiver, the football movie down in Texas. Do you remember?
Wait, that's The Longest Yard?
No, not The Longest
You're talking about Billy Bob?
Yeah, Billy Bob. It's a tan. When it's a high school football and he was going away.
For you. I'm not a big fan.
The guy that was Dawson's Creek. He was in that.
I can't watch any of that. Just watch Remember the Titans for the 30th time. Forget those movies.
Anyhow,
you're referring to James Vanderbeek there, but I can't think of the name of the movie either.
James Vanderbeek. How old are we that we can't remember the name of the movie?
I don't know why. I'm worried about stuff rate. I'm worried about stuff rate. I don't know why James Vanderbeek is taking up space in my brain, but there you go.
He's coming in and changing the quarterback, and they change the style of offense, and they score points. Second week, now they're playing Varsity Blues. Thank
Varsity
you.
Blues,
That's
that's
what
it.
a good
Yeah.
producer
Yeah.
does right there. It's
Of course it
Varsity
is.
Blues.
Of
Thank
course
you,
it is.
sir. Well, I think Oklahoma State is going to provide some Varsity Blues for TCU. How about that? We'll use that. Newbie went and got the research done that quick. I got to give him credit and throw the movie name right into the line. Oklahoma State is this close. They're this close to not only winning the Big 12, but maybe getting in the playoff. It looks like,
still
feels
working.
like somebody wants them, like to get in there. So, I mean, I can't make a case for TCU at all. Under, 100% with you. This show has taken quite the turn. You were such an over guy back in September, and now you're the just leading the charge for the under in the majority of the games. I like it though. This is what happens in November when it gets
yes.
weather, when defenses, injuries, all this stuff have come into play. Under. Oak State laying the points.
See, that makes me no, just give me the under because of what I just said. They don't care if they win by 3 or 25. If they get that lead, they're just absolutely letting the air out. They're going to punt. They'll punt from the other team's 35. Don't care about scoring. We're just playing defense. I don't want the side here. I just
24-13 type of number. Like, is it somewhere like that?
Okay. I could buy that. Yeah.
Somewhere in that neighborhood, maybe 31-13, though, we get the cover. So I think it's going to be that close, right? Like this isn't Oak State's not putting up. This isn't a 41-7 game. They're not blowing them out.
No, unless now if TCU hadn't had that bounce last week, I might have said, "What's TCU playing for?" They're ready to lay down. That defense was terrible, but I think they've got a little life now. But I do think that comes back to earth a little bit. I do think they come back to earth. Give me the under. And again, I might be just total recency bias, but Oklahoma State needs to show me someone can get them over this total. Last year it was 51.5 in this game, and it landed at 51. I think Oklahoma State's defense is even better this year. They're really good. Really good.
Listen, Sean, if you're listening to the show, 8 in the box, show me game. Show me game. Well, that's part of the merch. We're gonna put that for Howe. Show me. That's maybe just says show me.
That might be the new name of the show. Might have changed the name. That's the whole show is show me.
Show me shirt with just a silhouette of a beard. I see it in my head. It's beautiful.
Right
beautiful.
there. Let's go.
That's good. All right. Now we have reached the point. I know everybody's been waiting on pins and needles to get to this. Quite frankly, it might be my favorite part of the show. The highest total of the week. I love it. All right. We were a total system play last week. 1-7, 1-8, whatever it had been. There just wasn't over. This game was going under every single week. We said last week, I told you, I had already played it. I had already played it just because I said I was going to play it. I had no shot of winning. Didn't think I would win it.
Never.
Wrote that off. Already sent that to my accountant as a business expense. This is going to be a loss. Let's write this off. This thing has no shot to go under with Wake and UNC. It didn't. You couldn't even get a live under in that thing, Dave. I'm staring at 103, 105.5. No, give me. I don't want no part of this. I'll take my loss for the show and move on. That had no. We talked about it last Wednesday. It was a loser from that point on. Had no shot. No shot. 58-55. Oh.
Sometimes before the game kicks. That was one of those. You're like, why did I do that? Yeah. And then you watch the game start and you're like, I got no shot. Like, at what point you got to jump in there and go, oh, they got 93. I better bet over that now because we're getting 100. You knew you were getting 100 there. That was just a crazy, crazy football game. And we had no shot. That's okay, though. 7-2 on the year is still pretty good. And we knew, we were so trepidatious. We were so, hesitant. When we did the show last week, we're like, it's been fun. But this one may be the time you want to go over. Go back and watch the show. You can see it on both of our faces and in our voices.
Said it. This one's going to be too sweaty. All right, I'm going to give you a bonus here because the two highest totals on the board this week are weekday games. One of them coming up Wednesday in the MAC. We got some action. I'm going to come back to that one. That's technically the highest total on the board as we speak. But
Yeah,
let's
but
go to Thursdays
we did it. We
first.
did a little Wednesday thing last week, and some people didn't get to the show until late
Yeah.
Wednesday, and they were like, "Hey, this is old." No, it ain't old. Listen, we release the show every week on Wednesday, so you got to get in there and get it if you want the Wednesday stuff. This is the Wednesday highest total of the week. How about that?
Yeah. You want me to start with Wednesday? By the way, if you got in early last week, we told you Kent State was going to cover the 3.5. So I hope you got it. Little Maction winner last week if you got in early. You want to do Mac first? You want speaking of
Yeah, we better get that
action?
one out of the
Okay.
way. Yeah.
All right, so technical highest total of the week here, 75.5. Kent State at Central Michigan. Kent State last week, we told you to take them -3.5, but strap it on because they were up 17. Here comes NIU. Was it a basketball game? Was it a football game? No one wanted defense in that one. If you had the over in that one, congratulations. Now, Kent State gets Central Michigan. All right, Kent State went for nearly 7 bills of offense last week. 700 against NIU. 700. Golden Flash is averaging 41 per game over their last 4. Their defense, as you saw last week, doesn't inspire a lot of confidence. This is one of those. They've given up 41, 47, 27, 64, and 38 has Kent State.
Ooh.
Central Michigan can take advantage of that. This is a hard one. The trend tells you under. Weeknight, you better be careful if you're going under here. Be careful.
Couple rules in play here. First of all, what's Central Michigan's nickname? Do you know it?
Yeah, that'd be the Chippewas, Dave. Thanks for asking.
I try to slide that one in on you. I didn't know if you'd know that. You want to bet under in Maction?
Oh, yeah, it's not comfortable to be there.
I take a medicine. I take a pill every day. You need to take 2 pills if you're going to bet under in a Maction game. Like when you watch the game, you're like, I don't want nothing to do with the under here. I mean, it's the highest total of the week that goes under, except on weeknight Maction games. Like, I don't think you can say, all right, Kent State, you just heard the numbers. You rattled them right off. Nothing inspired an underplay in Kent State. In Central Michigan's favor in the game. It's a 2.5-point spread. Now, listen, a lot of times in the risk rooms, we be guessing on these Maction games. Like there's a little secret. We don't know how it's going to go either. You can't hang 100 as the over under, which if we could, we would. But then if it goes under, and we lose, we got to hear from the bosses. So put up high 75 and see if anybody wants to bet under. No, not for me. I want over.
That's a big number.
Over. Sometimes big numbers, it goes over. It did last week.
It did.
We'll know quick. Right? You'll probably see it a little. Even last week, Kent State, there was a little bit of a slow start. They didn't even score in the first quarter, I think, right?
Yeah. It was a slow start, and then it just went bananas.
He scored 35 points in the second quarter, B-Howe. Forget about it. I'm going over.
Yeah, I wouldn't. I'm either over. I'm not touching this one. Okay, now let's go to the Thursday, our next one.
This is
highest total on the board,
yeah.
ACC game. Is this the one for our official count? If we're keeping track, do we get this? Is the official count?
This is the official. This is the official one. Yeah.
Pitt.
Does nobody need to play the music again?
No, I was about to say, if it's official, I mean.
All right, official, go.
Gotta be official. Let's go.
So, yeah. So, like at the track, at Breeders' Cup just happened. The horse broke through the gate on the first one. We still did it, but it was a little bit of false start. Everybody back in the gate. Get back in there. All right, B-Al, go ahead. Highest total.
Okay, so Pitt, by the way, if you want the side, -6.5 against Carolina, North Carolina.
Wait, did a West Virginia guy just say Pitt's going to win? Did you say you're going to take Pitt?
No, I just was giving the side. I haven't getting that one. No.
Oh.
I was just giving the number.
I thought I heard something.
I'm not taking it. Don't try and put words in my mouth here. 74.5 down to 73. We're already on a move to the under here with this, right?
Yes.
North Carolina, we just talked about what they did to Wake last week. They ran for 358. Let me say it again. They ran for 358 yards last week. We hear about Sam Howell. They ran for 358, although he ran for 100 himself. Pitt, #1 nationally in scoring offense. We talked about Wake and Sam Hartman.
Possible?
Say hello to Kenny Pickett and Pitt's offense.
Man.
They put up 50. They've gone for 50 4 times this season.
Yeah.
They're scoring points. Now, here's the piece of this to pay attention to. We've talked about Pitt's defense before. they can give you a little bit defensively. They're 10th nationally in sack rate. So if North Carolina wants to try to throw it a little, that front seven of Pitt can get after you a little bit. They're going to score. Pitt's going to score. Carolina's offense looked really good last week, but Wake didn't want to play defense. Pitt's going to want to play a little defense. They're 15th nationally in rush defense. So if Carolina wants to run it, Pitt should be able to get a couple stops. If they want to throw it, North Carolina, Pitt should be able to get some pressure on them. At a total like this, we've said it before, you only need a few stops to get under. But does Pitt score 65 by themselves on this?
I feel like you're making a case for the under. Are you leaning under?
I would hate it. I would be nervous. I would be sweaty. Both teams on a short week, right? You got to come back on this Thursday night. It's not the full. I think I would run back to our trend of under. I think I would.
As good as the trend has been, you know what happens with these things, right? They regress to the mean.
They do.
You always hear about these things. Good things don't last forever. They don't go 9-2 against the spread. Very rarely. I am even after the false start in the action game saying over, supposed to say under right here. I'm not. Pitt is not trying to disguise anything. This is not a normal Narduzzi coach team. They're trying to score. They're trying to put up 50 because apparently they need to win the games because they don't try to stop anybody. North Carolina, what are they doing? They're playing basketball on grass. I mean, they're just running, alley-oop, little corner three. It's looking like a basketball game. North Carolina, Pitt would be a pretty good basketball game, not based on last night because the Citadel beat Pitt last night. Pitt was a 10-point favorite in a basketball game. My boy Trent would book it, had a great video. He said, I'm taking Citadel. Citadel won a game easy. I don't know who's going to win this game, but I know there's going to be points. I'm saying over.
Ooh, even with a little bit of an inflated line there because of what North Carolina did last week?
It's inflated, but it has to be. Sometimes you got to pump it up. Sometimes, look, winter's coming back there. You put a little more air in the tires or you take the air out of the tires for winter back there. I can't remember. Which one is it?
A little more air because it's going to come decrease a little bit overnight. Which you're seeing that total drop down a little bit because it was inflated. It's coming down a couple points. Those unders are coming in. They're listening to the show. By the way, you want another Pitt note? Basketball edition of the Backyard Brawl coming up this week. West Virginia Pitt, Friday night, 8:30 Eastern, Morgantown.
Going?
Yeah, we'll be there.
Oh, we need video at Brad Howe 07. Little video from the game. That's a big game. Pitt will be a big dog in that game, though.
Yeah, I was just going to say, how about that line? You want to jump back on Pitt in a buy low spot? West Virginia is not what they've been. They got a lot of newcomers. There, we just give you a little basketball handicap.
Little basketball talk. Maybe we'll do 8 in the box basketball. Maybe we'll talk about that, or boxing one. Maybe we'll call it that. I don't want to give too much away.
You can only do 5 games, 5 in the lane. I don't know, guys. Just spitballing here. You gotta stay true. You only got 8 players out on the floor. You can maybe do 6, guy off the bench. I don't know.
Yeah, we get
3 seconds in the lane. We do 3 games.
If we do, I was gonna say if we put 5 guys in the lane, that's a 3-second violation, and then we don't have a show. We can't have violations.
All right, so real quick, I got you off track on basketball. You're over? You want the over on this?
Yeah. Okay. What are you're going under?
Yeah, give me the under. I'll grunt out an under. Give me a Pitt defense. Let's go.
Question for you before we go. New Mexico State is playing Alabama. I don't know why. There shouldn't be no New Mexico State playing Alabama in November. But they're geniuses, and they can dictate their schedule, and they have a little tune-up game in November. Yep, we're going to work on some stuff. The line is 51. The total is 67. I used to hate these games every week at the book because, the rhombuses, the parallelograms, the people, all the shapes. They come up and they're like, give me Alabama and the over. No, you can't do that. Why? Because if one happens, the other happens. Well, give me the dog and the under then. No, you can't do that either. You can't parlay this game. What if I want to parlay Alabama and the under? As much as I would like to take that bet, I'm not letting you do that either. All the parlays are turned off with this same game. I'm going to throw it right to you. Alabama 51 point spread, 67 total. I want your side and your total if you were allowed to do a parlay, which we're not in a book anymore, so I'm going to let you do it.
I mean, you have to take 50. If someone's going to give you 50, you have to take 50, don't you? You have to take 50. You have to take 50. I thought you were going to ask me New Mexico State's nickname, which of course is the Aggies. But I think if you're going to give me 50, I got to. I mean, I got to take that. I got to take it.
Newbie, would you take 51? I'm going to give you 51 because current line right now is 51. I don't want to short you, and I don't want you talking bad about me. 51, Newbie. New Mexico State Aggies. Laying or taking?
I think I gotta take, but it's simply because what the hell does Alabama care about? Like you said, like a tune-up game. It's not going to help their rankings. It's not going to hurt their rankings. What do they care if they cover 51? Maybe for the boosters. I don't know.
It's for the boosters, obviously. It's for all the backups to get playing time for the parents and everybody. Look, your kid plays at Alabama. Get him in this game. But will New Mexico State score? Yes or no? I'll start.
Oh.
No, they do not score. This is a shutout. B. Howe. Does New Mexico State, do the Aggies get across the goal line either a touchdown or a field goal?
They get a field goal. They get some form of
You
points.
think they score?
They get some form of points. I will say this. If there's one team nationally that you can get to play in these situations and care, it's Alabama. Right?
Yeah,
It's Nick
right.
Saban.
That's easy.
Anybody
Yeah.
else, I would say they win. They will play. Give me. I'm taking. It's like I'm taking the field. It's so hard to shut somebody out. One blown, somebody slips. Get into field goal. Give me some points. Give me some points for the Aggies.
Newbie, will New Mexico State score? Yes or no?
If I'm taking 51 points, dear God, I better hope they score. So yeah, I'll roll with B. Howe on this. The bearded gentlemen roll together, even though no beard this month for me.
That's right. You only got the mustache. We'll get to that at the cash consideration show, which we were recording later today as well. All right. I'll say no, they don't score, but I'll say yes on listening to the show and doing the job 8 in the box. Thank you, boys. Our producer, Dan Alexander at Newbie Talks on Twitter. My quarterback who's betting the yes. He's saying the Aggies get points. He's Brad Howe 07, the quarterback of the show, and myself, Dave Sharapan, the Sportsbook Consigliere at SportsBK Consig. We will talk to you guys next week. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening and watching the show on YouTube. Hit that subscribe button. We'll be back next week.